before we go, I think in honor of this being our 50th episode, we should get a live edition of the Shift Plugs. What do you think?
All right, let's go.
And the Paul Bear voice.
I am. Oh, yes! On Monday, we have a cross-up. On Tuesday, we have new gen animation.
I like that he's holding his hands in prayer.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, I don't know. It could be anything. It could be anything. It could be Hands of Z. It could be Keithie cooking some food. On Thursday, we have Weekend of Culture.
He went into Elmo a little bit.
We have YouTube Related. On Friday, we have Are You Son of a Bitch vs. WCW, who's hosted by handsome motherfucker named Scott Strickland. Yeah, but thanks guys for 50 episodes. I know I left off a bunch there.
End the show. I'm not going to fucking top that. Good night.
How did you find me here waiting for you? Across the multiverse we collide. It's extraterrestrial, our love. Across the multiverse, you and I.
Backboneverse, welcome to a brand new podcast venture that we are calling We Watch Comics, a journey through the Arrowverse. I'm your host, Logan Crosland, and I'm here with my good friend, Keithie Langston, who is going to be joining me on this journey. How are you tonight, Keithie?
I am so excited. I am pumped and jacked to be on this journey with you. The good thing about
he really
this
wants
is
to kill me.
No, in all honesty, the one thing I can say is that this podcast may keep me from fucking swinging in my own noose because I'm gonna want to complete it. So it's gonna I got another good 6 years ahead of me now because that's how long it's gonna take for us to get through this.
Yeah, we have quite the task in front of us. So, like I said, journey through the Arrowverse. Arrowverse is obviously referring to the CW. Conglomeration of shows. Started with Arrow, which we will start with tonight for episode one of that series. We eventually bring in The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Batgirl, Supergirl, Black Lightning, just a whole litany of shows that we will eventually get to. First couple of seasons of Arrow are kind of solo by themselves, and then we'll add in The Flash eventually. But we're going to be on Arrow for a while before we get to anything else. But Keith, I'll just go ahead and ask you, what was kind of your relationship with this series of shows, this series specifically, Arrow, that we're getting into tonight? Just what kind of has been your relationship with these shows?
I mean, I've been a comic book reader for many, many years. I wasn't a huge DC comic book reader. I really only had read like Batman. Obviously, I was aware of Green Arrow, Flash, et cetera, but I hadn't really ventured into them that much because I kind of was just I just really was sticking with Batman. But I was very excited when this show was kind of announced. I'm trying to think if I remember it being like announced and kind of reading like the comic dirt sheets, so to speak, to figure out like when it was coming out. And then really interesting, Stephen Amell, who plays Oliver Queen in this, he was in, I think, the third season of the show Hung that used to be on HBO that Thomas Jane starred in, where he plays like a prostitute in Detroit. And they bring Stephen Amell in to kind of be like almost like competition for him. And I remember watching that and being like, wow, this kid's like he's got some pretty good acting chops. Like I kind of liked him, for that character. And so when I heard that he was going to be cast as Oliver Queen, I was like, all right, this kind of gets me. I knew him. I know that he's done some other things that, I've kind of seen him pop up in and shit. But I was excited to see this. And then obviously, like, I watched the first episode when it aired and I was like, wow, it's a good episode. It's a good hook episode for you. And I enjoyed it really for the pretty much most of the duration of the show. I enjoyed watching it. Even even once it started to get into the multiversal arcs and things like that come through after.
Yeah, those definitely get confusing at a certain point. Um, but yeah, we'll get to that eventually. Yeah, my kind of relationship with the show. I don't really remember what I was watching on CW at the time. But I just started seeing the commercials pop up right before it was about to premiere. They kind of described it as Robin Hood, but maybe with like a little bit of an edge in the commercials. And just I felt like I saw it on like a late night show or something like that. They interviewed one of the actors or something like that, kind of talked about it.
Yeah.
But it got me intrigued. I've always kind of been a fan of, kind of people that can really efficiently use the bow and arrow and stuff like that in movies and all those kinds of things. So, yeah, it definitely had me hooked from the first episode. I definitely was in at the very beginning, and I watched pretty much throughout the whole thing. I kind of fell off towards the later seasons, but I picked them up and watched them on Netflix eventually and got through the rest of the stuff. So,
Green Arrow and Oliver Queen shouldn't be that much of a mystery to anybody that watched Smallville, because later in the seasons in Smallville, there is obviously not Stephen Amell, but there is an appearance of Oliver Queen. It's actually Justin Hartley, who, if anybody knows who that is, but they kind of come in and almost make like a mini Justice League, and he's part of that as Oliver Queen. So, and that's Smallville ran until 2011. So right when Smallville, and on the CW. So kind of when Smallville ended, this is kind of, I think, where this popped up. And obviously it's not completely connected, but it's, I don't know what you would say, the sister series or the cousin series or whatever to Smallville, I feel like. And spoiler alert, we get a little bit of Tom Welling in this later on once we start getting into the crises. So
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, Keithie just kind of ran through it there, but kind of the development of the show, they kind of wanted to do a spinoff with that character with Justin Hartley, but according to him and doing interviews and stuff like that, it never really got past the talking stage. They never really wrote anything down or really got past that point. So they kind of conclude Smallville, like Keithie said, and Andrew Kreisberg, Greg Berlanti, and Mark Guggenheim are the kind of developers of the show. They start to kind of put it together. Obviously, like I said, they kind of wanted to stick with Justin Hartley, but once he kind of didn't seem to be into the idea, they kind of wanted to go with a little darker edge than what they were kind of going with there. They kind of cast Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen kind of out of nowhere. Like you said, he was on that HBO show, but much past that, kind of looked at his, filmography earlier. He really hadn't done much before this that was outside of like Canadian television and stuff like that. I tried to do some research on kind of his background before this, but obviously I didn't come up with much. So like Keithie said, he was on Hung on HBO. But most of his stuff is kind of after this. But yeah, I mean, I think he was a great choice. They said, I think I watched an interview earlier today. They said they pretty much fell in love with him immediately. Those three guys that kind of developed the show, they immediately thought he was the best guy for it, because they made him do like 3 different kind of scenes, and he could kind of match the emotions that they were kind of looking for throughout. So I thought he was a great choice, and he ends up being a great character. So, but we will go to Arrow episode 1. It's just called Pilot. It doesn't have any special cool name. I'll kind of run through some scenes when we kind of introduce a character. Obviously, in these first few, I'm going to bring in some major characters, and I'll kind of say who the actress is or the actor that plays them, and kind of give them their flowers to kind of start things. But we come in, we are on a seemingly in like a wooded area. We see a man running through it. He eventually runs to like the beachside area of this island. Seemingly, he notices a boat kind of off the shore just a little bit. He runs to his camp. He picks up his bow and arrow, and he shoots a flaming arrow into a kind of a big pile of wood. I mean, he obviously had built it so he could kind of warn people if they were there. He shoots the flaming bow and arrow into it. It lights up. Obviously, it blows up. The fishermen see it. They obviously figured that somebody just lit that fire because it just randomly exploded. They then come to the two fishermen of Asian descent. Then come to the island, and they see.
Asian descent.
I mean, they are Asian.
I know, it's just funny the way you
fishermen.
said it. That's all.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry.
But they see this man who is obviously Oliver Queen. They
Mhm.
see him in green clothing. He's kind of kneeling in front of them, obviously showing that he is a friend, and obviously he's not trying to take their ship or anything like that. And then the two men bring him onto the boat, and seemingly are going to take him back to wherever they live or wherever they had came from. So, what did you think of this as kind of the establishing shot that we started with?
I mean, one of the things that is interesting is that they do a lot of mixing of like kind of how Batman and Bruce Wayne's history is, as well as Oliver Queen. So I like this opening though. It establishes that he's already. I also am a big fan of like not necessarily origin stories, of kind of like picking up where we left off kind of thing. And they do. I feel like this is it. I mean, granted, this is an origin of him as the Green Arrow in Starling City, but we already know he's been trained already. This isn't like he shows up and he's like, I want to train. Like he's already knows what he's doing. And we see that later in this episode. So I like this though. You know, you can tell he's been there for a while. His hair's out of control. He's got full facial hair. You know, he's practically wearing like leaves as clothing. So yeah, no, I like this a lot. I thought this was a great opening shot, a great way to start the show. And yeah, no, it's nice, you know, a little voiceover, you know, I am Oliver Queen, you know, like nice voiceover. So yeah.
Yeah, he does look like he's been through some hell, which obviously, as we'll learn throughout the series, that is definitely the case.
Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and say this is one of those shows that like uses flashbacks a lot, so we'll have kind of a whole universe of like him on the island, as well as him in present day, obviously doing missions and all kinds of great action sequences and stuff like that. But so we go kind of to our next scene. We get some like TV news stations announcing that he is back. Oliver Queen, he's back in Starling City. He is the son of Robert Queen. We don't see Robert Queen very much past this episode. He's played by Jamie Sheridan. I'm not too familiar with him, but he doesn't play a big part, so I won't spend too much time on that. But they talk about the fact that they went on a cruise on the Queen's Gambit yacht, or not a cruise, but they just kind of went on a trip, and we're obviously on this yacht when a big storm came, sank the boat. We'll learn that Robert does survive the wreckage, but he does perish at a certain point. So we'll get to that later. But the news stations kind of describe him as a bad boy. He had been arrested and accused of assaulting paparazzi in the past. Kind of was a media nightmare back in the day. He's immediately taken to the hospital and examined. He notices that his body is burned and scarred very badly. I think they mentioned that he has a bunch of broken bones that it like never properly healed. So he's all fucked up. His mother, Moira Queen, then comes in and learns from the doctor that his son may not be the same as he was 5 years ago. Obviously, he spent 5 years on the island. And then obviously Oliver notices his mother. They hug, embrace, and all that. The next day, they then go to the Queen Mansion. Looks like a big ass castle. It's one of the most impressive houses I've ever seen. They start to go into the house. He has a big green box that he has seemingly brought with him. And he does not let the I don't want to call him a servant, but the worker at the house. He does not let them handle his wooden crate that he has with him. Says it's too valuable, that he needs to handle it himself. Oliver is greeted when he comes into the house by his father's former business partner, Walter Steele. Oliver barely remembers him, but notices the maid of the house, Reza, whom he had a great relationship with back in the day. And then he goes further into the house, and he sees his sister Thea at the top of the stairs. She runs down and hugs her brother, and she says she always knew he was alive, and she is so obviously super happy to see him. So we meet Moira Queen during that segment of scenes. She is played by Susanna Thompson. I think she's probably got one of the bigger filmographies of the people on this show, but she makes an appearance in Little Giants. She was in A Ghost of the Mississippi back in the day. To tie into a movie education of Logan Crosland, she made an appearance on Star Trek Voyager Kid as the Borg Queen. She was the Borg Queen, so we obviously
sounds Swedish.
Just did First Contact on movie education, but I mean, she's been on a bunch of stuff, a bunch of shows, but
she also appeared on 2 episodes of Star Trek: The Next Generation, just to even more further tie in to also the whole mythos of actors and actresses getting guest spots as multiple characters in the Star Trek universe. So just to tie that in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And she also had a brief role on NCIS as well. She had a recurring role there. We also met Sister Thea Queen, played by Willa Holland. She is only like 21 at this point, so she obviously didn't have a ton of fucking Willer.
Willa Holland kid.
But she had been on the OC. She had a recurring role on there. She had a recurring role on Gossip Girl as well. So I believe both of those were, or at least Gossip Girl was the CW show. So maybe she had the CW connection.
OC was Fox. Did you watch the OC at all? Did you watch any of the OC?
Me and my wife watched it, and obviously much later, but I didn't watch it.
She played. She was Caitlin Cooper, so she was the main character's sister. But they recast her. So Misha Barton's Marissa Cooper, and her sister, when she's early episodes, they like send her away either to. It's like in she goes to camp and then she comes back and she gets recast. So it's, and that's when Willer shows up as her. So yeah,
I gotcha.
In the later season, she comes back and she's kind of like an antagonist, I feel like, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, and we also meet Walter Steele, played by Colin Salmon, in that segment. He's a British actor, and is in a lot of British stuff. That's the best I can say. You know, he's in their version. I didn't know there was a Law and Order UK, but apparently he's a character on that.
Does Dick Wolf do it, or does it Richard Wolf? Richard Wolf is the one who does it.
It does say it is produced by Wolf Films, so I guess so. But British actor, does a lot of British television and stuff like that. So don't want to spoil anything, but he won't be with us for very long, so I'm not going to dive too much deep into him. But
no, but he also was he's in the James Bond movies. I think when it's I think
he's in Die Another Day, I think is what I saw.
Yeah, so I think if you wanted to peg him to any kind of James Bond era, he's in the ones with Pierce Brosnan. So you know, he's in Tomorrow Never Dies, World Is Not Enough, so he's in those ones as well.
I got you.
Not a big major character, but you know, he's British, so you know he's
absolutely. But what did you think of kind of them reintroducing him into Starling City, on the talking about him on the news, him meeting or connecting with his family, and all that kind of stuff? What do you think of those scenes?
Oh, it's a pretty standard like reintroduction thing. I mean, couple of plot or a couple of different little tidbits here. So basically how they decided to pull from the comic for this, in the comic books, starting with More Fun Comics number 73. And I just wanted to say that came out in 1936. And More Fun Comics number 73 is significant because it gave us the introduction of both Green Arrow and Aquaman. So in this, they talk about Oliver Queen, or in the More Fun comics, Oliver Queen does survive a shipwreck and learns archery to stay alive. So that kind of part is pulled right from the comic. The twist, though, in this is that even though the show keeps the island survival story from the comics, it darkens it and makes it 5 brutal years instead of a shorter, kind of funner, more pulpy one as well. So it, that kind of difference things there. Also, you had talked about you had mentioned the mansion that they have.
Mm-hmm.
The castle that's used for the Queen Mansion is called the Hatley Castle, and it's in Colwood, British Columbia.
Okay.
It's also used for exterior shots as the main legacy headquarters in the television series Poltergeist: The Legacy from 1996. And it's also used as Xavier's school for gifted youngers in the X-Men movies, as well as Lex Luthor's mansion in the television show Smallville. So, and also it shows up in Supernatural. So shout out to our sister podcast, Exposition, because it's the X-Men. It stands in for the Xavier School for the Gifted. So the Hatley Castle in Colwood, British Columbia. Yeah, a lot of shit being used for that. A lot of exterior stuffs with that. So.
Yeah, I should have mentioned a lot of this is shot in Vancouver. Vancouver, British Columbia is where a lot of this is shot.
The overhead shots of Star City or Starling City
are from everywhere.
Nope. Boston, Massachusetts. Did you know that?
Oh, there you go.
And the clock tower is actually the Customs House in Boston, Massachusetts. So
there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of the stuff is shot in
it's Vancouver,
Vancouver, British Columbia.
Canadian kid. All in Canada.
Yeah, there you go. Good grief.
Vancouver kid.
We'll go on to the next scene. It is we get introduced to Laurel Lance. She is with her coworker Joanna at the. It seems like a news station based on what it kind of looks like, but
it definitely doesn't look like a law firm.
It definitely doesn't look like a law firm whatsoever.
Is this the Daily Planet? Where the hell are they?
I'm not quite sure. It looks like the pit of like a news station or like a newspaper, like kind of like you were talking about. But
I'm waiting for somebody to come in and go breaking news.
But they're investigating the case of a businessman named Adam Hunt. While Laurel kind of goes over the work and the files of all the things that they have on him that they're trying to bury him for. They're obviously they're lawyers to a point. I think they've kind of described themselves as like legal assistants a little bit to a point, but they kind of notice that a lot of the other office workers are looking at the television where there's continued reports of Oliver's return, talking about him being the only survivor of the boat sinking. They obviously consider the ship's crew, Robert Quinn and Laurel's sister, Sarah Lance, deceased. Laurel notices the crowd kind of around the TV. She hears her sister's name and she immediately turns the TV off and kind of goes off in a fuss. We go back to the Queen Mansion. Oliver stands in his room in front of the mirror, contemplating the past as he appears, because he kind of peers at his scars and all of the just markings on his body from all the shit he's been through. He has a flashback of the Queen's Gambit, obviously sailing in the Pacific Ocean during a pretty terrible storm, from what we can tell. One of the crew members tells Robert Quinn that the captain intends to divert the ship. He agrees to that pretty easily. And then Oliver checks in with his father. And then Sarah comes out pretty scantily clad, looking for a bottle opener. His father warns him that this will not end well with him and the Lance family, as we learn later, he is actually dating Laurel at the point that him and Sarah are on the boat together. So his father tells him that won't end well. We go back to the mansion. We're at dinner now. Tommy Merlin promises, obviously his best friend from before he got lost on the island. He says he promises to show Oliver everything that has changed in his absence. He lists off Super Bowl winners, kind of a blast from the past. Obviously, we've had quite a few Super Bowls since then, but
he mentions the goddamn Giants.
Yeah, he mentions the Giants twice, actually. But Oliver wants to see his father's company, Queens Consolidated, but Walter suggests that there's no rush to get back into business activities. There's plenty of time. He just needs to kind of get reacquainted with everything. The maid Reza comes in. She almost spills like a tray of apples or something like that. Oliver kind of catches her and catches the bowl and answers her apology in Russian, which all the family are like, when did you learn Russian? Did you learn that in school or something like that? They all seem pretty confused that he knows Russian. Oliver mentions that he also did not know that his father's ex-friend, obviously talking about Walter, was sleeping with his mother. Moira seems kind of caught off guard. Thea says she didn't say anything. And then Moira admits that her and Walter are married to keep the company, as they had believed Oliver and his father had passed away. We then go to Oliver asleep in his room, randomly with the window open. I don't know what that's about, but there's a terrible storm, and Oliver has kind of another nightmare that we'll kind of discuss in the next episode or next scene. But what do you think of kind of the introduction to Laurel and Tommy, obviously, and kind of this whole awkward kind of dinner scene?
Well, actually, Logan, I have a question for you. Logan, can you tell me a little bit about who plays Laurel Lance?
I can tell you who plays Laurel Lance. Her name is Katie Cassidy. I believe she was also in Gossip Girl at a certain point.
Yep.
She was a recurring role on that. She also was in the restart of Melrose Place, which I know will pop Tim Capel. She was one of the main roles in the reboot of that. Melrose, but she also kind of, early in her career was in a couple of, horror films. She was in Black Christmas. She was also in the 2010 version of A Nightmare on Elm Street. So she had been in a few slasher films, but obviously I think she had a pretty big role on that Melrose Place reboot. And she was, when she was on Gossip Girl, she was a pretty important role, I believe, as well. And I'll also mention we got introduced to Tommy Merlin there as well, played by Colin Donnell. He has pretty much done nothing since then, and really hadn't done anything before this. So he was on that Chicago Med show. I think he was a pretty big character on that. That's after this. But before that, he had literally done one show called Pan Am, and he was just a guest star. So he really had no other kind of things that he did. So, but yeah, what did you think of the awkward dinner and kind of our introduction to Laurel?
I mean, Laurel Lance, obviously, for those who know her in the comic books, she's Black Canary, so she's kind of she's a big to-do, obviously. So
what's her first name, though?
Diner. Dinah.
There you go.
Dinah.
Yeah, there
so, you go. But the big thing is that Katie Cassidy, not only is she in the cinematic masterpiece Click, she plays Sandler's daughter at the eldest point. It's towards the end of that movie. She's in that. She's the daughter of former child superstar David Cassidy, actor and singer. David Cassidy, of course, was in the Partridge Family. He has since passed away, R.I.P. But just so you know that big, Sean Cassidy, Patrick Cassidy, it's just big family, the Cassidy family. So, but yeah, no, Laurel Lance. I mean, she's great. They have a great actress to kind of carry that role. It's a heavy role in this show. It's a heavy role in this universe because she's a very important character. So they needed to get somebody that I think everyone can kind of get behind. So I like that. I like that casting. You're right with the Colin Donnell. I mean, Tommy Merlin, I think I had said to you off air, the season 2, he becomes a bigger important character because of his dad who comes in. But Tommy Merlin has been in, he's kind of another one who is another big in the Arrow. I want to say Arrowverse, meaning Arrow comic verse. But he plays like the Dark Archer, and then also his dad is he plays another character, Prometheus. So there's a lot in that as well. So he's got a big history, but like you said, they kind of drift past him into his dad and use his dad a lot for what they had in the comics. So I don't want to go too much, but he's like your typical kind of rich friend, not really knowing what the hell he's doing. Just kind of like, hey man, let's go out and get some parties. Let's go get some chicks, man. And so he's a take it or leave it, I feel like, throughout most of this. And I could leave him, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty important in this first season for sure.
Yeah.
But we'll get to know him a little better throughout this episode and obviously throughout the season. But like I said, Oliver is sleeping with the window open for some reason. We go back to another flashback while he's kind of passed out on the floor, getting rained on. We go back to the flashback, like I said, to the boat. We see Sarah Lance. She's counting down the seconds before the thunder flashes yet again.
Mhm.
Oliver tries to calm her down. They start to make out. She kind of cuts them off and claims that Laurel will kill them if she ever finds out they are together. While we're on Sarah Lance, before I go too much further, she is not played by who she will eventually be played by in these scenes.
No.
She will eventually get recast. We talked about it a little bit before we got on here, but Jacqueline McInnes Wood plays her in this episode. She will get recast obviously later. I wanted to mention that before we got too much further, but they're making out. She's worried about her sister finding out. Oliver tries to assure her that her family will never know. The ship then pretty much capsizes. It tilts completely to one side, creating a pretty big opening where the door is for the room that they're in. The room fills with water. Sarah gets sucked down in really quickly, so she just kind of vanishes. Everybody kind of gets sucked out into the water. We suddenly see a raft kind of blown up with two people in it. It's one of the crew members, seemingly, I'm guessing Robert Queen's like second in command or like his, trusted associate or whatever. But that guy and Mr. Queen, Robert Queen, are on the life raft. And they pull Oliver onto it, obviously saving him. He's freaking out that Sarah's not there. We cut back to modern day, and Moira comes in and sees Oliver asleep on the ground, kind of panics. She wakes him up. He lunges at his mother, kind of grabs her by the neck, acts like he's going to beat her ass. He obviously realizes who it is eventually, kind of lets go and apologizes when he realizes what's going on, and apologizes to Walter as well. Moira says that nothing happened and is glad that he's home. We cut to the next day. He opens the wooden chest, which he takes out a small journal, which will figure out what has to do with his kind of journey from here on out later. We cut to Thea's room. She is hiding some drugs. I think they say it's like pain pills of somebody who tore their ACL or something like that.
Yeah.
Her friend Margot is there. She's not anything special, so I won't delve into her or anything.
She's nobody.
Oliver gives Thea it's kind of a it kind of looks like an arrow, obviously, but it's just like a little stone. It is the Buddhist symbol of hope. He explains what it means to him, and that it was kind of about his journey, hoping he would see her again someday. Tommy then comes in acting like a douchebag, says he's going to take his buddy to town and show him what he's been missing. He starts to explain that they obviously had a funeral for his father and him. So obviously he plans to throw a big party in the honor of Oliver's return. The car then kind of stops at a stoplight or a stop sign, and obviously Oliver notices the old factory that his father had sold a few years ago. Tommy asked Oliver what he had missed most on the island, and obviously Oliver replies with Laurel. So obviously we kind of learned that they had previously been in a relationship, but that's the thing he missed the most. We go back to Laurel's office. She's still talking about Adam Hunt to Joanna. She asked that the judge be replaced that he had bribed previously. The conversation is then interrupted by Oliver, who apologizes for Sarah's death to Laurel and takes all the blame on himself for everything that happened. She doesn't want to she doesn't want to blame him, or she does want to blame him, obviously. But obviously that's her sister. It was bad enough that he was screwing her sister while they were dating and all that stuff. They have a pretty tense conversation. Obviously, Laurel informs him that she thinks it would be better off if he had died and Sarah had survived. He then meets up back with Tommy. Tommy says that probably didn't go as well as you thought, right? Kind of just messing with him. From there, they start to get back in the car, but they are attacked by a group of criminals, obviously. They shoot them with some kind of dart that puts them to sleep, or some kind of something that knocks them out and kind of incapacitates them for a little bit. They eventually get taken to a kind of abandoned warehouse looking area. We then go back to another flashback while they're both passed out, obviously. Robert gives Oliver kind of some water to drink, obviously, to keep him strong. They want him to be the one that survives. If one of them survives, they want it to be Oliver, or his father does at least. The crew member seems pretty pissed, but obviously Robert's calling the shots here. Robert informs the employee that his son is the only one who will survive this catastrophe if any of them survive. Oliver is not entirely sure if he can survive, obviously never having been faced with this kind of situation before. We then pop back to modern day. The masked hijackers wake him up, ask if his father died in the crash. Oliver doesn't respond, so they tase him with a taser. The criminals then ask if his father told him anything before he died. Oliver sees Tommy's unconscious body across the room, says that Robert told him that he should kill them. Obviously, just trying to be a tough guy. The criminals laugh and talk about the fact that they have him tied up. Oliver shows that he has freed himself and attacks the goons. Two of them pretty much immediately get killed in the warehouse, and obviously a third sees this and starts to run away. Oliver starts doing some crazy parkour shit and follows him and eventually runs him down and kills him as well. He had checked to see if Tommy was alive before that as well, but he ends up catching the third guy and kills him and says no one needs to learn of his secret. So what did you think of, kind of the ship sinking, all that kind of stuff, his conversation with Laurel, and this little segment right here?
I liked Laurel cutting him, saying you should be at the bottom of the ocean. I thought that was kind of cool. His leapfrog parkour thing that he did, like right at the beginning when he starts chasing the guy, I was like, he looked like a frog. He went wee, like he kind of jumped, and I was like, okay. But yeah, him doing parkour. Obviously, this was the biggest thing at the time, people doing parkour and stuff like that. So I can understand why they went with this. It's that ultra realism type stuff that we see throughout most of this show, and actually pretty much all the action shows for this time period. So not offensive. I mean, it made sense. He's obviously highly trained as an athlete and things like that. And, as we know, Stephen Amell is too, because he shows up on some professional wrestling shows, does he not?
Sure does. He sure does. He was on SummerSlam.
Seems to be a thorn in the side of one Cody Rhodes. So yeah, but so not bad. I mean, I liked it. I liked it all together. It's good times.
Yeah, I thought, I thought obviously showing his athleticism and the crazy shit that he could do kind of off the bat was a pretty smart idea. And we obviously show here that he's not afraid to kill when necessary.
Yes.
Obviously, he doesn't.
And that's actually something that was kind of early too. He did kill. I mean, in the comic book version, the Green Arrow did kill, especially in the early Golden Age versions, and they kind of reflect that darker era where he kills without hesitation. Later season, it kind of mirrors what they consider to be the comic evolution into that stricter like no kill policy. But no, he doesn't give a shit right now. He's killing people when he can, and whether it's even defense or offense. So yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, he doesn't want anyone to know that he has these skills.
No one must know my secrets.
He obviously doesn't know who hired these people, but he doesn't want.
He certainly didn't ask either.
He did not.
Like,
that's true.
Go first and maybe look around to see if he can find some clues.
He did not for sure. But we will go on from there to the next scene. We go to the Queen Mansion. We have the police. Obviously, there we have Detective Quentin Lance, who is we'll learn is Laura Lance's father, and Detective Hilton to hear from Oliver and Tommy's side of the story. They say they were saved by a man in a green hood. Tommy can't confirm what Oliver's saying because he says he was unconscious and didn't see much of anything. He mostly blurs is kind of what he says. Quentin then asks Oliver a difficult question, kind of a shot at obviously his daughter dying on the boat. Moira kind of stands up for him, is kind of pissed. Walter kind of calms the situation down, orders the police to leave the house, and if they figure anything else out or remember anything more, they'll kind of get back with the cops. So I obviously talked about Quentin Lance there. He will be a pretty big character going forward, played by Paul Blackthorne.
Yeah.
I can't really remember much of what he was in. He doesn't do too much movie wise. I don't think I remember. And he does a lot of kind of
he's a character. He's a character actor. Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of a short run, kind of in a lot of TV shows. His first kind of lead role, it seems like, is the Dresden Files. I don't know too much about that show, but and he was also in a show called Lipstick Jungle with Brooke Shields. So, but that's pretty much his two big spots that he was in for a lot before this. And he didn't do a ton of movies, but he's a big TV guy, I would say, mostly. But obviously,
he was in season 3 of 24, and I watched 24 pretty religiously up until the end of it. So I'm trying to remember who he was. I don't remember who he was, but he's in 10 episodes of season 3. So yeah.
I would say I won't say I watched it religiously, but I definitely watched it, and I don't particularly remember him that much.
I don't remember, unfortunately. But yeah, no, he's a character actor. He's British, so he's got he's an acting, he's got acting chops and everything. But yeah, no, he's a working actor. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should mention though who Robert Queen is, because Robert Queen's kind of a heavy hitter.
I had mentioned that earlier. Jamie Sheridan. Yeah. If you want to talk more about him, you can. I mentioned it earlier.
You did mention Jamie Sheridan. I didn't, but you didn't really so.
Yeah, I didn't go deep into him because he's obviously just mostly in these flashbacks. So, but you can go ahead.
Well, no, Jamie Sheridan, big Law and Order guy. He was in Law and Order. He was in just movies out pretty much from the mid 80s on. He's been in acting. He's been a working actor, but I think his biggest probably recognizable role, I would say, is Law and Order: Criminal Intent, and then he played Captain Jimmy Deakins. So yeah, he was in that. But no, he's a pretty big heavy hitter. He was in Homeland. He was in American Gothic, Agent X. He starred in Agent X, I believe, which was another show he's been in. And then he shows up in he's not in this a ton, but he's another kind of big. He's a big to do. Like every time you see him, he's like one of those actors that you're like, oh shit, I know that guy. And then but his biggest role is probably when he was in Law and Order: Criminal Intent, because I remember, that's in the Law and Order family. You saw those commercials all the time. So yeah, he's big in that though.
Absolutely. But after kind of the detectives leave, we go to Oliver in his room. He is on his computer. He's searching for some information on Adam Hunt, obviously, remembering that Laurel's obviously looking into him. He notices that his name is in the journal that we saw earlier.
Yes.
Obviously, this is a journal his father gave him. We'll kind of learn its intentions later. Razor the maid then comes in, brings him some food, explains that Oliver has always been a good person. Oliver obviously disagrees. She says, though, despite his mistakes, he has always had a good heart at the end of the day. He starts to leave the house. Moira stops him and informs him that she has hired a bodyguard for him going forward. His name is John Diggle, played by David Ramsey. Very important character in this show going forward.
In the whole universe. I'm not going to lie. John Diggle is like my favorite character, I think, in this entire friggin' run. He's like, I love this guy. I love David Ramsey. He's so fucking awesome in this entire series. So
yeah, he ends up being one of my favorites as well. But he's kind of like Quentin. He's been in a lot of stuff, nothing too terribly long before this. He showed up in Dexter. He had a recurring role in that kind of a little bit before this. He also had a recurring role in Blue Bloods. So those are the two that stand out to me. He had a spot in The Nutty Professor back in 1996, but he was his role was student, so I'm going to guess he didn't play too much of a role in that one. But,
so did Dave Chappelle. He had a role in that movie too.
That's true. But he had popped up on a bunch of TV shows and stuff. But obviously, like I said, David Ramsey plays John Diggle. John Diggle's going to be his bodyguard going forward. Oliver's not too keen on the idea. Diggle starts to kind of drive him around. I don't even really know if they say where they're going. Oliver talks to him, though, because it kind of been an awkward silence. He kind of figures out that he's in the military by how he speaks. He obviously lists off his credentials in the armed forces. He then starts to kind of talk, like I said, he's kind of talking about himself, and then he turns around to look at Oliver, and he notices that he is gone. It turns out that Oliver had jumped out of the car while he was driving. Oliver enters the Queen Industrial plant that he had noticed earlier. Inside the building, Queen makes a hole in the floor of the foundation. So he had like a pickaxe and some sledgehammers, and he was just fucking shit up.
He's a one-man machine right here.
He sure is. He turns it into an underground room, kind of like a secret shelter that he can kind of come to for what he's going to do going forward. Obviously, he puts some computers in, some exercise equipment. He then takes the box, the green box that he had brought from the island. It has bow in it, obviously, and it has some arrows. He makes some arrows. He kind of just makes a whole bunch of just crazy equipment for what he'll be doing later. He then goes looking for Adam Hunt, obviously, in full gear and with the bow and arrow and all that stuff. We see Adam Hunt kind of walking to his car with some associates. He's yelling at one guy for not taking care of Laurel Lance to this point, saying she wouldn't be a problem. And obviously she still is a problem. They get close to the vehicle. An arrow pierces one of the windows. He then the Arrow character is going to be referred to as the Hood for right now. So the Hood kills two of his bodyguards. I don't know if he particularly kills them, but he does injure them pretty badly. He then threatens Adam Hunt, says if he doesn't transfer this amount of money to this account, then obviously he will see him. He says he'll see him at 10 o'clock tomorrow. And he doesn't really threaten him with killing him, but he does mention that he's not going to like if he has to come back tomorrow night. And then Adam Hunt doesn't seem too happy with the situation. He doesn't seem to particularly take him all that seriously at first. Obviously, we'll see that that's not the case in the next scene. But the Hood then disappears. So what did you think of him kind of establishing his little Arrow lair? Kind of introducing Quentin Lance as the detective. Just kind of all the stuff that kind of happened that I've just been talking about.
I mean, it's important to, set up these characters, obviously. Like I said, I kind of could go on talking about Diggle for a while because I love him. That pull-up bar that he's using in the hideout? It's called a salmon ladder, and it's actually on Ninja Warrior. a lot. And then Stephen Amell, I guess, later competed on that show for charity. So, but yeah, that's a pretty cool. You know what's funny? They never name his lair the Quiver, and it should have been called the Quiver because he's an arrow.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of always, it's very sad that they never named his lair the Quiver. I don't think they ever did in anything. But besides that, no, I mean, introduction wise, you get, you know, Quentin Lance he plays a big part in this series, which is kind of cool. I like it, especially later on when we get to that. We'll talk more about it. But yeah, no, further down the line, I like the actor too, Paul Blackthorne. I like David Ramsey. Leaving his arrows around on the scene of the crime, kind of just asking for trouble, if you want my opinion. I don't know. He should have been a little bit more, you know, plus you want to, you want to have it not be completely insane having your stuff around there, but whatever the case is, you know. But yeah, no, he now the thing with the book, it's funny you talked about that because that's kind of falls into his line about you know, his social commentary and his kind of his ethical version and who he is as a person. There is something I will say. I'll say this now. I guess it's kind of could be either or, but they make a big deal about that list. And in the comics, Oliver targets like corrupt businessmen, politician, crime lords, and especially during like more of his socially conscious era of writers that did this. The pilot list of names modernizes this idea, and he starts taking down these people that are connected more or less to his father's sins. And that's something that kind of comes up in the last flashback. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we will have a very noticeable catchphrase that Oliver will say in most, or the Hood.
That Sean Kidd claims I will do to this pod. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, he doesn't actually say it in this episode. So, but he does.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
But we do get a mention of it, but it's not said by Oliver himself. So,
real quick trivia. They mentioned the judges. They changed it to Judge Grell, who's supposed to be in the pocket of this Adam Hunt. And Judge Grell is probably a kind of an inside reference to a longtime writer Michael Grell, who was a longtime writer for Green Arrow. So,
oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But we go back. We go to Adam Hunt's office. He calls the police to ensure security. He tells the detectives that he was attacked by a man in a green hood with bow and arrows. He even tosses one of the arrows to one of the detectives. Obviously, this matches what Oliver and Tommy had kind of said had saved them the day before. He asked the policeman to further coordinate with his head of security, Dracon. He just calls him Dracon. He doesn't give him another name. And he's this big, buff-looking fucking Russian dude. But Lance's partner notes that Queen was telling the truth about the self-proclaimed green-hooded hero. We go to Oliver then. He goes to his car. Diggle is actually sitting in the back seat this time, so he will not be the driver. So he's not going to let him escape once again. They go to the party that Tommy is throwing for him. He kind of gets welcomed to the party. Oliver then goes to the to kind of this little table or kind of a stage area, and he says he missed tequila while he was on the island, and makes a toast to the crowd of people. He's at the party. He's talking to Tommy. Oliver notices that his sister had gotten like a vial of drugs from some random person. Thea. He kind of confronts her about. He didn't really confront her about that, but about her being there. Obviously, she's only 17, so she can't. She's not supposed to be drinking or doing too much. That is probably going on at that party. Thea explains that she was alone during his absence. Obviously, her mother could confide in Walter, and obviously they get married. But she had nobody. She didn't have her brother. She didn't have her father. She lost both of them. But obviously, they have kind of a heart-to-heart and all that. She gets pissed and gets melodramatic about the whole thing. She then goes to see her friends. her friends ask if she has whatever drug that they're using or are going to use or whatever. And she notices that the little vial that she had gotten from the guy is no longer in her bag. Obviously, Oliver had swiped it and throws it in the trash. Oliver then runs into Laurel. She apologizes for what she said to him earlier. He also apologizes. He says he would have switched places with Sarah if he could. Laurel tries to convey to him that she is open and can talk to him at any time about what happened. Obviously, she's trying to extend the olive branch. Oliver had given Hunt the 10 o'clock deadline, and he had not transferred the money that he had asked for. He kind of switches on Laurel at this point, says he hasn't changed in those 5 years and doesn't want to hurt her again, because he most certainly will if they kind of pursue anything further. Laurel then says he has changed, though, because at least he's honest, and that's something he wasn't before. Oliver then goes to leave, but Diggle stops him, obviously trying to cut him off at the pass. But Diggle, Oliver tries to open the door, says it won't open. Diggle tries to go open it himself, and Oliver just kind of knocks him out pretty quickly so he can leave the party. We then have the Hood reemerge. He walks to the door, and overpowers, obviously, Adam Hunt's security detail. He fights Dracon for a good little bit. They kind of have it back and forth. They fight back and forth for a good little bit. He eventually takes a shot at some point, and is kind of incapacitated for just a little bit. And then obviously Hunt calls the cops while he's fighting Dracon. So they start to come up. He eventually, from there, he's passed out on the ground. He kind of reemerges. And then the police kind of come in. He escapes through the window. He kind of, uses the arrow as like he kind of throws it over the line, and kind of zip lines down to the other building. So he doesn't kill Hunt. Obviously, he took out quite a few of his operatives and stuff like that. And the detectives show up just too late to catch him. And even the other detective and Lance kind of look each other and were like, "Did we just see that correctly? That he ziplined from this building to that building?" So, I thought that was a pretty funny little segment there.
Yeah.
But the police then go across the street to the party. They order for the rooms to be searched. Oliver then shows up, informs about the closed private party that they have going on. Detective Lance then talks about the Hood once again, talks about the hooded figure. Oliver laughs and offers everyone $2 million as soon as they provide any information about the self-proclaimed hero. Obviously, this pisses Lance off a little bit, and he kind of takes another shot at, Sarah dying on Oliver's watch. Tommy then approaches Oliver, inquiring him about the coincidence with the hooded figure being right next door at Hunt's building. And Oliver kind of asks Oliver what happened to him on the island, and Oliver says, "A lot of things happened to me on that island. You don't want to know." We then go to the next day. Hunt is notified of the disappearance of $40 million from his account. They do not realize that the Hood left an arrow with a wireless transmitter that allowed him to hack into Hunt's systems.
But it's literally in plain sight. It's not even like it's hidden. It's like
and
plain
it's like
sight
lighting up too. It's not like
you would think you would have just pulled this thing off him and like, what is this friggin' thing? Like, terrible job. The police are doing a terrible job here.
It's a fucking it's like a fucking one of those rubber arrows that's just like slapped on the side of the wall. So he's stealing the money he asked for. Obviously, we go to a flashback. Robert informs Oliver that he does not have enough food for all three to survive. He asks Oliver to come home and fix his mistakes, that he has failed, that he hasn't helped the city, but he has failed the city. So obviously that was the line that I was mentioning
Yes.
earlier. Oliver is exhausted on the raft. He realizes the seriousness of the situation and decides that there is enough food for all three of them. Suddenly, Robert pulls out a gun from his life vest, shoots the other guy, and then obviously Oliver's freaking out. He says to correct his mistakes, and then he shoots himself in the head. So Oliver is alone on the raft with his dead father. So what did you think of the action sequence at Hunt Multinational and the party scene and kind of that last flashback that I just mentioned?
So it's the party scene and everything, like the I guess the sleight of hand he's doing here to kind of convince Laurel that he's a douchebag almost, and not to feel bad for him or not to like get close to him. Very reminiscent of like what they do in like Batman Begins, where obviously Bruce Wayne is trying to pretend to be, he's got two faces. He's, no pun intended, two-face. He's Bruce Wayne, and he's going to be an eccentric billionaire douchebag playboy, but then he's on the other side, he's this moralistic character of Batman. Same difference here. Oliver he wants everybody to think that he's just this aloof ne'er-do-well who's going to just live off of his parents' trust fund and not really care about anybody or anything. And yet in reality, he's going to save the city, and he's going to do all the things that need to be done that his father failed at, so to speak. In the comics, Oliver himself is often the morally driven crusader against the corruption. But the plot in this shifts this to the motivation being Robert Queen, whose death and confession kind of push Oliver into this vigilantism. So that guilt-driven legacy is really just a creation for the television show, but it does kind of fit the theme of accountability that the comics always put forth. So, just keep that in mind, that he didn't have this, like, I think in the comics, his parents kind of almost go like the way of the Waynes almost, where they both kind of just, get killed, die out kind of thing. But totally different here in this iteration of this character. But so that's kind of my idea of that party scene is very, very reminiscent of Batman Begins, and which is fine. You want to have, at the very least for the beginning, while no one knows who the Hood is, because obviously it's a superhero show. Everyone's going to find out who the fuck he is. And, and that's what is going to happen. But
it takes him a while, though.
It does take a while, which is good though, because it shouldn't be like he knows everybody immediately, which is good. Yeah. So I like that. And, but the fight sequence it's very dark, because it's like dark at night kind of thing. And then it's also like,
it's like 10 or 10:30 p.m. So
so I mean, but it's good. Like, I like when his hood comes off and you see like he painted on kind of the eye mask, which I thought was a little nice touch, especially since when he comes back to the party, it's all gone. But it was kind of cool. I had to go back and just rewind like why he kind of gets knocked out for a minute, because I'm like, he doesn't really take a punch. He's jumping like from bullets, and like he kind of just like hits behind his desk, and then he just kind of hits the ground, and he's kind of like out for a minute, and then the police come in and whatever. But it's good. The only problem I had was just that whole thing with the arrow in plain sight when they kind of pan over.
Yeah,
as Adam Hunt's
right behind his head too.
It's literally right there, and I'm like, well, and like you said, it's blinking. It
has like a blinking green light on it.
It's practically saying like, I'm stealing your money, but it's not that. I can understand why they did this for the pilot. You're trying to get the show off the ground. You're not going to go so much into details and things like that. So
and you want to show as much action as you can, and this was a pretty good fight scene for what it was worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with mentioning that arrow that kind of has the transmitter or whatever on it, he they show him building like the regular arrows that have obviously the sharp tip that are meant to injure and or kill the person he's going after, but he designs all kinds of arrows. Obviously that one was like obviously like some kind of transmitter that connected him to the Hunt systems or whatever, but he has explosive ones that he eventually comes out with. So
Hawkeye would call them his trick arrows.
Okay, yes, his trick arrows. There you go. But he has all different kinds. Obviously, we'll see them as we kind of go forward. But I just wanted to mention that because that's something that begins to play out throughout the series, obviously. we have kind of a final couple of scenes to kind of wrap the episode up. We have Laurel and Joanna. They're back at the newsroom, law practice, whatever you want to call it. Just random array of office space. They discover that a lot of the clients that have been suing Adam Hunt have received anonymous donations, obviously totaling the 40 million. So Oliver had obviously gotten the money and transferred them to the transferred the funds to the people that had gotten screwed by this Adam Hunt. They both, Laurel and Joanna, both agree that the city has gained a new guardian angel. Tommy comes to see Laurel and asks to talk with her outside. They talk about the fact that they might be in somewhat of a relationship, but not really. They've kind of slept at each other's places a couple of times, but Laurel doesn't seem like she's too
Naughty,
into.
naughty.
She's not too into the idea of them being together permanently. He even calls her Dinah, like we mentioned earlier. I believe that's her name in the comics. I think
Niner.
Laurel's just kind of a made up name for the series, or maybe I'm making that up. You'll probably correct me on that, but he calls her Dinah when she starts to walk away. Obviously, we pan to up in the kind of the stairs on the side of the building, and Oliver is watching this whole conversation go down.
Mhm.
Then we go to after Robert has obviously passed away on the boat. We go to the flashback scene. Obviously, Oliver has drifted for a long time on the raft, alone in the ocean. Suddenly, in front of him, he notices an island, which he is carried to by the sea current.
Mhm.
We go back to modern day. Moira meets a man who says the police will not be able to discover who Oliver's kidnappers are related to them. The man then asks if he should try to get some information out of Oliver again, but she refuses and says there are other ways to get any information out of him about what happened to her husband and maybe what he had told Oliver before he passed away. So obviously, we learned there that Moira had hired the kidnappers to figure out what Oliver knew. So that's kind of a big twist, the kind of there at
Yep.
the end of the episode
Mhm.
to kind of wrap things up. So um, obviously, Oliver had done some good, transferred those funds back to the people that had gotten screwed by Hunt. And then we learned this about Moira kind of trying to get some information out of Oliver without it being directly her, obviously. So, what do you kind of think of this little end part here?
It's a good little twist for the pilot. Obviously, it comes into play later on. One of the things I want to mention though is that there's the Glades. They talk about the people that were suing Adam Hunt live in the Glades, and the Glades
Mhm.
comes up later on. So
Obviously, yeah.
put that in your pipe for later on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And kind of to I have a couple of like trivia notes here for
Oh.
to wrap up kind of our podcast here before we get to some awards. We in the opening scene when we're on the island, we notice that there's a mask on a stake. As we kind of
Yes.
pan to the island, it is Deathstroke's mask,
Yes.
obviously implying that he will eventually have a role in the series. Obviously, we'll meet the man that will play Deathstroke eventually. I think in this season, I think he shows up in this season, if not next. So, and like we mentioned earlier, Tommy kind of mentioned some stuff that Oliver's missed while on the island. He mentions that the Super Bowl winners, like we said, he mentions that we now have a black president. Obviously, we're referencing Barack Obama. He talks about Lost. He theorizes that they were all dead the entire time. Kind of talks about that.
Yeah, he kind of spoils a lot of shit for him,
Yeah, he sure does. And then he at the party he says something about a girl that Oliver should go after that looks like the chick from Twilight. Oliver obviously has no clue what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tommy admits that he's probably better off without knowing anything about that. So just a couple of quips that I wanted to mention there at the end. But what did you think of this first episode? Did you think it was a good pilot to kind of start things out on?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not a ton of criticisms or anything here. I think this is I can see where they're going with a lot. They did a lot of good groundwork to, like, set up some characters that are going to be recurring throughout the show. They give you a little twists. They give you those kind of like those little tidbit, those little, things that you're like, okay, I kind of see where they're going. And I know that that's a reference from the comic, or that's a reference from another comic or something like that. So yeah. And obviously this whole universe just gets deeper and deeper and deeper as the show goes on, which is great. But this was a good starting off point. Real quick, do you know the name of the guy that plays Deathstroke, the actor?
Manu Bennett, I believe, is his name. Correct?
How do you say his name?
Manu Bennett.
Manu.
Yeah, I don't know why I remember that name, but that's
he's great. Manu Bennett. Yeah, he's awesome. So yeah, but I can't wait till he shows up because he's a tour de force. But this is a great episode altogether. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm excited to restart this journey with you because I remember it brought back good emotional feelings for me watching this again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely. Obviously, I'm super excited about going back through this journey and stuff like that. But yeah, it definitely reignited my passion for the show and just the whole universe in general. So, if you had to give it a score out of 10, what would you score this episode?
Oh, I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I was thinking 7 or 8. I think it was a pretty solid way to kind of introduce everybody. Mm-hmm. Maybe a couple of goofy scenes here and there, but obviously gives you something to look forward to with that last segment with Moira, obviously figuring out what her intentions are for figuring out what Oliver knows. So kind of had you holding on to want to see what happens in the next episode. So we decided to do a couple of awards. We may add or detract from this as we go forward. Obviously, just some kind of basic awards. Who would be your MVP on this episode? Obviously, probably Oliver
Queen.
Based on, it's kind of
he's gonna be hard to top for most episodes, I would think. But Oliver Queen definitely.
Yeah, there will be some episodes where he loses, obviously, but I would say vast majority of the time it's probably going to be him.
You have failed this city.
LVP, I think you could go probably a couple of ways, but who would you go with on that? Kind of who annoyed you or thought was the most kind of useless throughout the episode?
I mean, that's two completely different things. So we could say the MAVP, most annoying valuable player, I would say is I'm gonna go Tommy because he's kind of just like such a douche in this. I guess he's just your typical douchey person. Useless. Thea's friend that's in for 30 seconds. Plus, also, I have to point out, Tommy makes a comment about she's almost 18, right? And I was like, oh.
Oh yeah, he talks about how hot she is.
That's your fucking best friend's little sister. Like you probably.
I think he was just fucking with him, but
no. Tommy's kind of a douche. I mean, he's that kind of. But whatever. Yeah. So I would I'm gonna say Thea's friend for most useless, Tommy for most annoying.
Yeah.
You can have a difference of opinion, absolutely.
Yeah. Thea was pretty annoying in this one for me. So obviously she's super excited to see her brother, but then she's obviously
upset, man. She got left by herself.
I know. She's an obnoxious teen, though.
I know
but she's just really dramatic about the whole thing at the party. Yeah. So
I have to be someone else. I have to be something else.
Obviously, this one's probably another kind of layup, but I would say for the most important scene, obviously, just him being picked up on the island. The whole episode, honestly, because it sets up everything. That one's kind of hard for this episode, just because you could say the whole episode, you could just say him generally getting off of the island. But obviously, this one's gonna be a tough one for this one. But like, what would you say? I guess for most important scene.
I think. If I'm not going to say it's getting rescued off the island, I would say the scene where his dad tells him I failed the city and, and basically charges Oliver with his mission to go back and fix everything, because that's the whole premise of the show, is that he has to go back and fix the city. So I'm going to go with that scene right there in particular, his dad charging him with his mission.
Yeah, that's a good one. But like I said, this episode's such a universe builder, so you can really pick anything from the whole thing. As far as best scene, what would you go with for that?
I really liked I kind of like the end fight sequence Not so much the first one, but I like the one where he's fighting everybody in like the office building with the hood on, and I like that I like that most of all, I think.
Yeah. I would go with that as best scene as well. Him and Dracon fighting each
Yeah.
other. Evil Russian
Yes.
businessman security guard or whatever. But yeah, I think that was definitely the best scene for this one, without a doubt. So this is probably another award that's probably going to be a lot of like the climactic fight scenes, but we
Sure.
might have another important scene throughout.
There's going to be some dramatic scenes where there's like some good dialogue and whatnot. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So there might be those throughout. Like I said, we may add and subtract from the awards as we go.
I want to add one as a shout out to the old Place to Be Nation pod. The worst hair.
Probably Oliver at the beginning when he has the shaggy beard and the really long hair and looks like he's
okay.
You been on an island for 5 years.
You said Tommy, and I'm gonna stick with you with that. It's Tommy. You said that, but I'm gonna actually say Oliver when he's got his hair wet when he's on the life raft is like the worst. Yeah. Whatever that rug is that he's wearing is just terrible. But no, his hair when he's like in his, I don't know what you call him, his I guess we'll say his ne'er-do-well phase is just like so odd looking. But yeah.
Yeah, he looks very slimy back in the flashback kind of scene. So
yeah,
definitely bad hair there, but bad hair all around until he gets back from the island, and that's the kind of the buzz cut situation. So
but
yeah, I thought that episode was a lot of fun. Hopefully, we'll be back pretty soon with the second one. But obviously, we're in for a hell of a journey, like we said, to start the show, but happy to do it. Happy to be here. Looking forward to going back through it. But Keithie, before we get out of here, do you want to plug anything?
Oh, please listen to everything that I do on the Backbone Wrestling Network, as well as GFA Live with Petey Winson, A La Carte with Keithie on my own feed, and you can hear me on the North-South Connection Podcast Network under the Jenny Position banner, X Position. So with her and Tim. So, and then Flounder824 on the Twitter or Blue Sky.
Absolutely. Definitely check out all of Keithie's stuff. He's a great podcaster. Happy to have him here with me doing
Happy to be with you, buddy.
So, but yeah, like he said, check out everything on the Backbone. That's where you'll find most of my stuff. Highway to the Impact Zone, linking up Luchas, YouTube Roulette, a cavalcade of great stuff over there, done by mostly me and some of Sean Kidd, Keithie Langston, Scott Shiflett's in there, Jacob Williams, Matt Souza, the whole family. Jennifer Smith's also there. But I also do Talking Docs on the North-South Connection on the Jenny Position. So check all that out. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we did not fail this city.